Tell some dirty jokes. Oh, wait a minute. Are we live?
We are live. We may have a 30-second delay, so before you... There we go. It just went live. Woohoo, we're live.
Nice. Once again, live on TV.
It's Sandy and Melody, and we're waiting on John. Hey, everybody that joined us today. I think I have 7 people so far on.
Nice. Let's see who they are.
Can you see them?
Winnie, nice. Rich Moore. Rich Moore probably knows more about this subject than we do. I think
that's why I invited people that knew more than us so they could talk in the chat with us.
Yeah, awesome.
But I'm waiting on. I don't know where John is. He sent a message while ago, 7 minutes, so I thought he'd be on. So.
Steve Larvick. Hey, Steve. Nice to have you. Yael made it. Good. Nikki. Nice. We're doing good. All of our bestest friends are with us here live.
That's right. No pressure at all.
I'm sorry that I don't have a dog. Melody already yelled at me for not having a dog.
Yeah, you get more hearts if you had a dog.
I had to take down all my dog stuff because I was doing green screen stuff earlier.
I wonder what happened to your gray screen that you have in the background.
It looks great.
Okay, John's having trouble getting on for some reason.
Well, come on. He was periscoping over the weekend while he was in a boat pulling his kids on a raft. So if he can get on live,
I'm gonna tell him to register and we'll promote him.
Okay. Yeah, I tuned in Periscope, and there he was on the boat going about 35, 40 miles an hour, pulling his kids on a raft.
Oh, I saw he was at the beach or something. I'm like, I'm not that brave. My phone would end up in the water. I'm not that talented. Well, I don't like your tuxedo.
My tuxedo?
Yeah, that's what she said.
Oh. Yeah, no tuxedo today. I'm in dog training mode, or dog mode, not really training. We go to the chat. Oh, there we go. Now I'm on the chat.
Good enough. John's browser just crashed, so not sure if we just want to. I don't know if you had something planned you want to start with, and then when he gets on, we'll add him in. I hate to keep people waiting since they all got on time, except for Everett who just got on, but we won't hold that against them too.
Who cares? Oh, Melody. You see how you get me? You get me all rolled up. No.
There's John. Wait, John's on.
Cody. Nice.
We have John now.
There's
hey, John.
Hey, guys. You got me?
Yep. Nice. The top of your head's cut off, though.
Yeah.
The top of my head is cut off. All right. Let's see here if I can fix that. Maybe it's got it on the wrong camera. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, it's because my camera's on the other tripod. Yeah, not the right camera.
On the shorter one.
Well, I can fix that real easily. So watch this. Here's what I'll do: is I just lower this down.
Look at you.
Wow, he's got the equipment. I'm so jealous.
And I'll sit. How's that?
Perfect.
Wow, I look really bright.
Well, welcome, John. We have 9 people on so far, and they're all anxiously awaiting the information you guys are going to share. I'm going to go on mute, and turn it over to you guys.
All right, well, the only thing I was going to start with is then explain to those of you that aren't in the mastermind group about how this all came about. And we were going through everybody's last couple weeks, what they've been doing. And it just so happens that coincidentally me and John and I, I'm not an English major, John and I were happened to be testing out Meerkat and Periscope at the same time. And and just trying to figure out what it all means to our company, what we're going to do as far as marketing, what are some of the things that we can do with it besides hold it away from our face, which is, I hate it that close personally, but just really experimenting, just going up live every so often just to say hi and see what people want to ask us in regard to what we're doing with our business, and also set up moments where I would schedule out and tell them, hey, tomorrow we're going to talk about this particular subject in dog training, and seeing what kind of reaction I got on that. And so just trying out all the different formats and that kind of stuff. So as I explained that in the mastermind group, they asked for us to kind of do something kind of informal just to talk about our experiences. Now, John may be the expert, but I'm not an expert in either one of these things. We are just gathering information. We're trying to figure out if how to use them, and then if we are going to continue to use them in our business. So John, what do you have to say about how this all started with you?
Pretty much same as you. I saw you doing one at one point. I'd seen a few other people doing them, so I was aware of Meerkat and Periscope when they first launched, the whole story behind all that. And so I did a little bit of research about, like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and discovered, who is it, Grant Cardone, you know, big 10X guy. You know, he's got a bunch of different sales books and everything. And he's like #2 on Meerkat, and he had just really taken off and really gone with it. #1 was some supermodel or something like that. She was out shopping, and, you know, people were like, hey, buy that avocado. And I'm like, seriously? This is the #1 person on Meerkat, and she's picking up the avocado, and they're like, hey, nice shirt, you know, and this and that, and they're talking about stuff that you talk to a model about, I guess, or whatever. So in any case, but Grant Cardone really was impressing me with what he was doing. He was getting a lot of interaction, and he was getting on live and giving, like, slices of life, you know, what his life was like. He was showing at one point last week, he was in a meeting, actually it was a training meeting, a sales training meeting on the phone at a hotel in San Jose. And it was impressive to just watch him work and do his thing behind the scenes. And then he was out by the pool with his wife and kids and showed him messing around out there. He was hanging out with some billionaire. They were talking about business and just shooting the breeze about whatever. So he's using it both for casual and for professional, mostly for professional. But it really allows people to reach out and, you know, just kind of get to know, like, and trust you. The stuff that Mike Andes has been talking about forever, right? So for me, once I saw Andy was trying this, and I saw you go up with 1 or 2 of them, I was like, all right, well, let me give this a shot, and then I'll do this every day for a couple of weeks and see what happens, just like Andy's doing. And so behind the scenes, Andy and I were kind of texting back and forth periodically and saying, hey, I saw your thing, and this didn't come through right, or whatever, and this and that. So for me, the thing that I've noticed the most is the first 3 or 4 days, I mostly just promoted it on Facebook to people that we knew, you know, in some of the groups that we're in Facebook. And then over the weekend, over the last 3 days, I haven't promoted it at all. I just basically go live. And what I'm using, I go into RiteTag, and that's RiteTag, RITE tag.com. And I look, you can get a free 30-day trial if you're not interested in buying it. And what it does is it gives you hashtag analytics. So, like, for example, mine are always AMAs, ask me anything about book publishing for the most part. So instead of typing in, like, hashtag self-publishing as part of the title, that has very low, that has only maybe 4 people a day are actually using that hashtag, whereas ebook, hashtag business, hashtag marketing have massive followings of people that are searching for that stuff. So that's all I did was I would say, you know, AMA, about, you know, write your book, and I'd write your ebook, hashtag ebook, grow your business, hashtag business, whatever, and I put that in the title and throw it out there, and we'd get anywhere from 2 people to show up to 50 people to show up, and we're still building the platform. So that's kind of, you know, what we're doing with that to start with.
Let's talk a little bit about the difference. The best place to start is because there's some people that have no idea what we're talking about.
Sure.
So I figured just to talk about the basics about the 2 different platforms. And just to start, it's a live broadcast app that's on either the iPhone and now the
Android.
What's that?
Android.
Android. I did it wrong. It was in my head. You wouldn't know I was a dog trainer. Android and iPhone platforms only. Periscope has been purchased by Twitter, and so they have the big support of Twitter. And Meerkat was first. Is that true?
Yes, they launched at South by Southwest and were the big, huge media darling there, and raised, I think, $60 million within a month or something. And then Periscope came out.
Okay, and then the 2 biggest difference that I see, and John will tell you what he sees, is that the biggest for me is that the chat role. Both have chat capabilities, but the chat role in the Meerkat, it stays. So it comes up just like our chat role on our webinar jam. You can see it, you can scroll down and see what you've missed if it's gone below the fold. On Periscope, it floats up, and then as it floats up, it begins to disappear. And you can never see it again unless you watch the replay, which only lasts for 24 hours. And some of the things that I've been doing, I'm at a distance, and I'm doing some dog training and demonstrating something I'm doing with the dog. And even up close, I have trouble seeing the chat roll, much less 5 or 6 feet away. And so at least with the Meerkat, I can always step forward and scroll up and find out if anybody had any questions for me while I was at a distance and that kind of thing. So I got to hand that one to Meerkat, and I'm hoping that Periscope will change something, because at least for me, the only thing I'm going to do today at 4 o'clock, I have a Periscope going, and I'm going to have somebody hopefully at the phone shouting out any relevant questions that we need to hear about as I'm interviewing the person I'm going to be interviewing and showing the dogs that we're going to be showing. John?
Yeah, those are all perfect. You know, we talked about this behind the scenes and kind of are figuring this out, and I totally agree with all those statements. That's the biggest. I mean, Periscope has a beautiful interface, but the fact that the comments disappear within, like, I don't know, 15 seconds or something, and if you have a lot of people on the feed, man, it is just flying. So I've seen Grant Cardone up there. It's really funny. Excuse me for a second. So he'll be like this. He'll be like, all right, so he's trying to read it, and he can't read because he doesn't have his glasses on. All of a sudden, you'll see him do this. Yeah. Hey, yeah, how's it going from the Philippines or whatever, right? And so, I mean, some people dig that, I guess, and it's part of the Meerscope, Meerkat, whatever you want to call it, experience. So I tried a couple of different things. The first couple I did, I put them on a tripod, and I'm going to show you that rig and what it all looks like and how easy it was to set it up, and then talk to about what I'm going to do for Podcast Movement. I'm going to be there in 2 weeks, and we're going to do some live interviews there. You know, yeah, the thing about Meerkat that's really cool is the fact that those questions stay up there. So if someone asks you a question, you can answer their question for a couple of minutes. Other questions come in, you can go back, scroll it back, and then do that. Or, you know, what Mike does in his studio with Jesse and the rest of the team over there is someone else is monitoring the feed. They've got a mirror of the app going, and they'll either show it to them or whatever, but they have a big, huge blank, Google Doc, and they're typing the questions out that people ask. Hey, John from Huntsville wants to know, how does he grow a really cool, facial hair like Andy has right there, or something like that, right? So if you have someone available to you, that's great. If you don't, then just figure it out, and that's kind of what we did. I tried a couple of different things, and the whole point of it is it's casual. And boom, you just go out there and do it. You don't have to schedule it if you don't want to. You can schedule it. You can set up a schedule to show when you're going to stream it, and then it will automatically send a tweet out to everyone if you direct it to do so, which is a cool feature as well. And then when you go live, it'll tweet as well. So that's kind of like pre-advertising and letting people know that you're going to go. The other big feature that I really like is the Cameo. So this is a new thing to Meerkat. It just came out a week ago. If Periscope doesn't get this, I will be shocked. They would have to put this in there because it's a great feature, especially like, Andy's doing dog training, right? So you've got people with questions. And what it allows you to do is you can click on their profile, and it'll come up and it'll say, it'll tell you who they are, and then do you want to follow them, and do you want to give them a cameo? So if you give them the cameo, it sends them an invite. Do you want a cameo on this broadcast? And if they accept it, now their camera is live, and they get up to 60 seconds. Now, if you get a hater who's being a jerk, you can just click off, and boom, they're gone. All right, so there's no problem there. But the thing you need to tell them ahead of time is once you give them the control of the camera and the mic, nobody can hear you anymore. So we were doing a test with that, and I think we had Pat, and I hadn't told him that. And so he's just sitting there waiting for me to ask him a question. And he's just kind of sitting there, Hey, this is cool. We're meerkatting. And he was waiting for me to ask him a question. He just figured that there was a lag, and he couldn't hear it. So make sure you're educating people if they're not aware that you're handing the controls off to them. I think that's a huge killer feature that they're doing on Meerkat.
So Winnie asked, let's see, where was it? I think the question got answered about Grant Cardone.
Yeah, Grant Cardone.
Yeah, I've never heard of him before, but he's really...
he's huge. He spoke at one of Mike's events a couple of years ago. He wrote 10X Rule. It's bad. I don't know if you can see it back there, but he wrote the 10X Rule, Sell or Be Sold. He's probably the leading sales trainer in the world. And if you don't have Twitter, if you don't have Periscope and Meerkat already, get on Twitter, log into your account, and then download them, and just watch. Just see what people are doing with them. You can watch Andy and I. You can watch other people. I would definitely recommend getting on Grant's feeds for both Periscope and Meerkat. He was the one who gave me the idea to do this. So let me show you what I set up here. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this or not. So this is just a little tripod that's kind of, it's just a little small tripod. and I have an iPhone holder that's holding this iPhone 6 right here. And then I basically normally it would be up in landscape mode, so I turned it sideways 90 degrees, and then I just put some clamps on here. I clamped one to an iPhone 4, and then clamped the clamp to the thing here. So I don't know how well you can see that there, but I mean it's very gangsta. I mean it's what I had in the office to make it work. So I wanted something where I could have a stable platform, just stick it in front of me, and just go. So this desk that I'm on right now, the reason that this particular tripod in front of me is set up for me to be sitting down. That's why you couldn't really see me before my head was cut off. And so all I wanted was a stable platform that I could move the chair out of the way, I could stand up, move around a little bit if I wanted to, or bring another person into the studio and interview them. You could do this with a selfie stick. You could just stick a tripod out in front of you, however you want to do it. We tried it with microphones. We use this. Mike had mentioned these, and I know a lot of people use them. There you go. I see Mel's got something like that. There you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've used this before. You know, the little thing. You can basically attach this to just about anything, you know, and put your iPhone on there. That's another way to do it. Yep. There you go. There's what Mel's got. So we tried using one of these. I forget the name of the company that makes these. It's a special cord that you can plug into your iPhone to plug in an external microphone. And we had an ATR lavalier mic, and it was terrible. I mean, the sound quality was fine, but the level was so low, everybody was complaining and said, hey, I got the volume all the way up, and I can't hear you on Meerkat, but they could hear me on Periscope. So we got rid of this, and we just have been using the native microphones on there. I am getting an iRig HD and a mic flag to take with me to Podcast Movement, so I can brand it as John Cote TV or what. I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do yet, and that way I can kind of do, you know, back and forth interviews like that.
All right, we got a little bit of away from the apps themselves, what the advantages are. So let's go into that just a little bit. The thing I'm finding is that Meerkat has a very nice, clear picture, a good quality, and Periscope has a nice video. It looks good, doesn't look bad, but it just seems Meerkat is a little bit better. But it seems to me that Meerkat drops off more often. It always seems you get that little Meerkat jiggling the antenna. I don't know if you've experienced the same thing. Yeah. But I find that drops way more often than the Periscope. So I don't know if that's the reason why. But sometimes I think in high quality, it's harder to keep it up, in going because of the amount of bandwidth that's using to keep that high quality video. But that's what I found. Have you found the same thing?
Yeah, pretty much. I get it's interesting because we have an iPhone 4S that was just laying in a box in my closet at the house for the last 2 years. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot I had that thing. And I didn't have anything big enough to hold the iPad. So I went ahead and put the iPhone 4S up there. And so I switch back and forth. Every day that I broadcast, it's either or on Periscope and Meerkat. So I think Yal was asking, why do I have two phones? It's so that one is logged into Meerkat and one is logged into Periscope, and I'm doing a dual live cast. Instead of doing one and spending a half an hour and then doing the other and spending another half hour, I just do them together. And I tell people I'm doing that, and that seems to have generated some interest in the people that are listening to the live cast. But regarding the quality, I've had people say, hey, I think your Meerkat on iPhone 4S looks better than your iPhone 6 on Periscope. I have heard that a couple of times. So, I don't have any specific data on that, but in general, they're both reasonably solid. And I mean, we got like 100 meg, connection here in the office. So we'd never have problems here, but at the house, I've got like 25 meg per second, and I sometimes have it cut out and drop out, like when we're in the backyard doing it by the pool or something.
So Dave was asking about landscape, and right now, Meerkat, you can use landscape,
yes.
But Periscope you cannot yet. But I hear, and on the internet, they've been talking about how that may be coming very, very soon. The problem is the audience is already used to it being in the up and down. What is that called again?
Portrait.
Portrait. I don't know why I can't remember that. That it just seems like the audience right now that's on there is so used to having it in portrait that I think that I don't know that may be an issue in the beginning. What do you think, John?
Yeah, somebody asked me about that. Like, we were out on the lake yesterday over at my cousin's house. I got a power boat, and we brought the kids out there tubing and whatnot, right? So, I mean, we were just out having a fun day. So I just was curious because it was a really crappy connection. I mean, we're way out in the boonies, and I turned it on, and sure enough, it started working. So I went ahead and did it, and then someone said, well, can you turn it? So I tried turning it sideways, and that we had that same comment that, it's kind of like people are trying to figure it out, and they're moving back and forth. So for the most part, I just try and keep it in portrait mode. And something else I didn't even know, somebody said, hey, zoom in. And you can just pinch and zoom, just like you can with your regular camera, and zoom in if you're looking at stuff that's a little bit farther away, so they could see the kids bouncing up and down and thing. I thought that was kind of neat.
Can you zoom in on Periscope and Meerkat, or just one?
I believe it's both, as I recall. I know on one of them specifically, and I can't remember which one we did first, but we definitely, I think it was Meerkat for sure you can do that, and I think you can do it on both. JT mentioned that also that Meerkat Periscope has way more users, and although that's true, I can tell you that I'm getting far more people engaging with me on Meerkat than they are on Periscope. I don't know why, because I'm doing them both exactly at the same time. The same number of tweets are going out. I don't know what the deal is with that, and I can tell you that Grant Cardone does both typically. He switches back and forth during the day when he's on the road or he's in the office. Every Friday he does a live cast in his studio. He has an actual studio at grantcardonetv.com, and he sets up the two cameras there, and he does. He likes it because he can have people do their 30-second pitches by doing a cameo with them. And so when he connects on there, I mean, Saturday night at like 10:30 at night, I flipped it on just to see what was going on, and he had over 300 people watching him on a Saturday night at 10 o'clock. I was like, holy crap. So there are a lot of people there. If you've got your audience there, stay connected with them. But you're right, there are a lot more people on Periscope right now.
Yeah, for me, it's been the opposite. I've had way more people that jump on Periscope than on Meerkat. I've had maybe 14 to 30 on Meerkat, and I've had up to 300 people on Periscope. The other advantage is, since I've been telling people to subscribe, because now, like we've learned in everything else, we have to tell people what to do.
Yeah.
So on Facebook, you have to tell them to share and to like and all that kind of stuff. And same thing on these two platforms, you have to tell them to subscribe. Yeah. Because every time I do that, I can see the subscribe little notices coming up. And I think I've had something like 60 new Twitter followers, and most of them, if not all of them, have been dog-related, since I'm doing dog-related stuff. For me, that's obviously what I want. And so I've had everything from very large dog food companies begin to follow me, to just your average dog lover, to other dog trainers and that kind of stuff. So I'm reaching the audience that I want to reach. It seems to be more on Periscope. You also give your broadcast a title, and I've been kind of just messing around with a couple titles, making sure that dog is in my title. And
are you hashtagging those?
Yep, hashtagging too sometimes, and sometimes again I'm trying different things. Again, just testing and seeing what comes up. Different times a day. Later in the evening seems to be a larger audience than in the middle of the day for my dog people, for whatever reason. When I put dog in there, obviously that's going to grab somebody's attention. And this morning I put one on there that said dog crap. Gonna talk about some dog crap, which was the truth. But suddenly, I mean, I had 25 people pop on right away, and probably 8 drop off as soon as they found out I really wasn't talking about dog crap. I was talking about things that had to do with dogs. And so it's just you can just fiddle around with the different things that you think are going to grab the audience that you are looking for, and making sure that you have that title in there that somebody's going to be interested in.
Have you found an independent app that tracks stats on Periscope? You know, there's Meerkat has meerkatstats.com. If you go there, you can put anybody's Meerkat name in there and track their stats. Like I pulled up Grant Cardone's, I pulled up my own. You can pull up anybody's, and not only can you see how many people were on their last 10 Meerkats or whatever, you can also see like the names of the people who are contributing the most and their Twitter handles. So it's kind of like, well, heck, you could just reach out, direct message somebody. Hey, I saw you on Grant Cardone's thing the other night, and you had this question about whatever, and I thought you might be interested in knowing more about book publishing, and I can answer those questions for you. Give me a call. No. You could totally do that if you wanted to.
No. Have you tried it on an iPad? I haven't even looked at that yet. Does it work on an iPad?
Yeah. We did. It does. I used my wife's iPad mini over the weekend, and because I didn't have all my gear with me, so I just kind of like propped it up, put the phone next to it, propped up on a couple of books, and it works fine. The thing I like about it is it's a bigger screen, so it's easier to see. I don't have to sit there and keep putting my glasses on and off to see what the heck's going on, so I can read the comments. But yeah, it works just fine. It helps if you've got some kind of stand to put it on. Like I think Mel, was that you showing us, Mel, that you had one? Yeah, there you go. So I was on Amazon doing a little research, and I found for like $15. There's a company that makes it fits a standard tripod screw, the 1/4 inch or whatever that is, and it's got a very small vise that'll hold on to your it's padded, of course, and it'll hold on to your iPhone of any size, and it's got a little screw wheel in the back so you can turn it to portrait or landscape. And then there's a group of people that are doing 3D video shooting or something like that. And so they put two cameras right next to each other. So for like $10, you can buy a bar that's got a hole for you to screw into your tripod and then two little screws on the outside. So you could actually hook two phones in there in landscape mode and put them right next to each other for about $35 for the whole thing. And then just put that. So that's what we're going to do moving forward. I just ordered it. They should be here in a couple of days. And that way I don't have to worry about the clamps are sliding around or it's moving or it's falling. I can take it with me on the road and it'll be really easy to use.
All right. I did some research over the last few days. I put it in a little PDF. I don't know, Mel, if you can make that available.
Cool.
Is that possible? It's just it's notes. It's not a book. It's not something I'm going to turn into a book right now, maybe later. But it's the notes that I've just different things on YouTube's the YouTube stats on live broadcasting and how that's beginning to grab the interest of people. It has some, I think, pretty good information that in all areas regarding video on the internet, from pre-recorded to live to Periscope and Webinar Jam and all the other kind of stuff on there. So you may find it interesting. And the reason I bring that up now is because I saw a question about your audio, or the audience that is actually in Periscope, and the audience as a whole that's on Meerkat may be different. I think, I don't know, I'm finding that there's probably a pretty young audience, that if your product that you're trying to sell is interesting to those in their 20s. I think that's, for what I'm finding, that there's a lot of 20s and 18s right around that age group on these platforms. So we're not going to get the 1,500 followers that a young comedian, young attractive comedian might have. I can't. There's one. Her name is, but she has a bazillion followers and doing really well. That's not obviously necessarily our audience. But I think the audience itself right now is fairly young. Would you say so, John?
Yeah, generally that it seems to be trending younger to me, but I will say it depends on the person that they're, I mean, like you look at Grant Cardone, I mean, he's pretty much, he's got some young people there too, but he's also got, I was kind of looking at, you can't pull demographics up, but I was looking at some of the people on there. I recognize a few people, and there's, a lot of people our age out there as well that are, business people and everything else. So that's why we're doing both. Someone had asked that question before. I'm doing both until one proves the other out, or maybe I'll just stay with both. If we can build a following on both and I can do it at the same time and it doesn't take me any extra time to do it, then why not, just do the whole you everywhere now thing and build them both. Nikki had a question too earlier about why or when would you do a YouTube live instead of doing something like this?
I've been doing a little bit of both. I've been taping, I guess that's what I still call it, digital videoing. Something I've also been periscoping. And so I do the Periscope. The other day I did one in this other room that we have over there of me doing some dog training, and at the same time I taped it for YouTube and Facebook and all the other things that I'm doing. The other day I also did a podcast. I did a podcast that I was creating to go onto iTunes. At the same time, I did it on Periscope. So I used both to do. It's kind of like that "you everywhere now" thing, and just trying to do that, to really see how far it goes, what kind of audience, what kind of feedback I get, and that kind of stuff. But that podcast seemed to go fairly well with some of the people that were watching live, and I got a lot of good feedback. And again, got a lot of Twitter followers. Yeah. And what's interesting, this is the other thing, John, that we noticed right away, is that on your phone it'll tell you that you may only have 9 people watching. engaged on your phone, or maybe even 40, when in fact you have something like 300 people watching you, because it doesn't, for whatever reason, show the number of people that are watching on their computers.
Yeah, until after it's over.
Until after it's over.
Yeah,
so
because all of a sudden I'm like, well, this thing, it said I had 9 people. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's better than 8, so that's good.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just testing stuff out and talking, and if you got questions, ask whatever. And then all of a sudden it gets done. It says, yeah, you had 123 people watch. I'm like, wait a minute, what? How did that? You know, so we were trying to figure that part of it out. The issue with the online people, though, is they can't interact in any way. They can't type in questions or anything like that. They have to be on the mobile app to do that, as I understand it. Is that correct?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Definitely.
A couple of comments real quick. JT mentioned it's either OloClip or OleoClip makes a wide-angle lens. I have seen those, so you can get more people in the feed. And both apps work okay on iPad, iPhone, so and Android. You know, any one of those. And then, Steve was asking about Twitter advertising. I am not using Twitter ads at the moment. I'm not using any paid traffic at the moment. I don't see the need to do that, but I'm going to test that for sure and see if anything happens. And I will say, I did have on, I think it was Saturday, I was just in the backyard with the kids by the pool and just kind of did, hey, ask me anything. We were talking about different stuff. Didn't have that many people there, but I noticed one name happened to be someone that also had watched my webinar and then signed up for a strategy session. So I can't directly, specifically track and say that, well, I know for a fact she saw my webinar because she's on my list and we have it segmented, so I know she saw the webinar, and I know that she saw but she didn't sign up immediately for a strategy session, and then all of a sudden, after she saw me on Meerkat or Periscope, whichever one it was, all of a sudden I had an email that said, yeah, go ahead and sign me up for a strategy session. So that, to me, was a worthwhile connection right there.
Yep. I was looking for the stat. There was an interesting stat that just showed that there are more people watching video on the internet than watching television.
Yeah.
It's like 52% and then 48%. It's in the paperwork that's in that PDF that I sent you. So it really shows that if you're in business and if you want to capture an audience, that not only do you want to be on the internet, that it's going to be necessary because that's where all the eyeballs are. And you're going to have to embrace it. I remember I was at the Pet Expo and walking around trying to interview a couple of the vendors there, and this young girl, she was probably 28, 29, and her partner were starting a new vitamin type of supplement for dogs, and they said it was end all be all. I think it had to do with like sea kelp or something like that. And I said, great, that sounds like you would be a perfect candidate for us to interview. And she goes, oh, I don't do video. And I said, don't worry, you will. and she did not want, I tried to talk her into it. She would not go on video. And I was going to do, ask all the, I always have to do is respond to my questions. And she would not go on. So
yeah,
there's going to be a lot of businesses that don't want to do it, but I think those that do will find this very interesting, especially these two platforms. And I was really thinking about my real estate friends, that when they're doing open houses, that when they walk into open house, that a Periscope or broadcast might be a great thing for them, for all their Twitter followers. I don't know why I can't say that today. Twitter followers, that, hey, we're at an open house today. We're here in Brea, California. We're at a 3-bedroom home, and this is what it looks like, and walk through the house doing the Periscope, talk about the features of the house and that kind of stuff. So I really think that I have not seen that yet. There's probably somebody doing it, but I haven't seen anybody doing it.
Yeah, that's a great idea, because then the video gets held for 24 hours. They can watch the replay afterwards, so they could send it out to their list, either tweet it out or whatever, and hey, I just did a walkthrough of the house on Periscope, or I'm about to do it live, watch it, and if you missed it, here's the link where you can go, on Twitter or whatever to watch the replay. I think that's a fantastic use of that.
Yep, and another one I thought of is our used car dealership friends, that they get a brand new used car. I guess that makes sense. A used car, it's just like a jumbo shrimp. They get a new used car in their on their lot, and they go through this. Here's the car. This is what it looks like. This amount of miles they have on it. If anybody's interested in this type of vehicle or any other vehicle for that matter, let us know. And that's a really great opportunity to connect with some of their followers. And I think it just adds a different aspect to their company. and begins to develop those relationships you want with people.
Hey, JT has an interesting comment. I didn't realize you could do this, and I appreciate that because we're all learning on this. And so I just get on. The first thing I say is, hey, we're new to this. We're figuring it out. Please like, follow, tweet, click, tweet, give me hearts, whatever. Just, I don't know what we're doing. We're figuring it out. So give us a lot of love. But anyway, JT mentioned that using different fonts on your title stands out more than anyone else. I wasn't aware that you could use different fonts when putting your title in there. I would love to know how to do that, actually, if you wouldn't mind typing that in, JT, and we'll share that with everybody.
Well, I see a lot of people using those, shoot, now I can't say it.
Yeah, the emoticons and stuff. Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
I swear I know this stuff.
That's okay. I get up there and I go, okay, we're on Periscope and Pericast, and we're broadcasting live.
And just think, I got a Periscope at 4 o'clock where I'm interviewing somebody. That's going to be very exciting. So you're going to watch that. That's at Flaco K9 Academy. Make sure and do that and watch us. At 4 o'clock.
Hey, that's a good point, by the way. For those, I don't know exactly what you're going to do with this moving forward, but on Meerkat, you are at Flaco, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know how that happened.
Okay. I don't know if you can change that or not, or if you even want to, but just be aware of the fact that whatever your Twitter handle is, when you sign up on Periscope, whatever name you say you want, that's it. You can't change it, I believe, unless you delete the account maybe and start over again. But the point is that you can have a different handle on Meerkat and on Periscope than you do on Twitter. And that can be confusing for people because, like, I went to go find, I was like, oh, wow, Andy's got at Flaco? That's pretty freaking cool. He must have been on Twitter in, like, 2008 before they were pre-IPO or whatever, right? Yeah. So I type in at Flaco on Twitter, and it's like some dude down in Mexico, and I'm like, this is not Andy. What the heck is this? So I believe your Twitter handle is at Flaco K9 Academy, right?
Yeah, well, I'm using Periscope far more often on that particular aspect, and I think on Meerkat, I'm just going to keep it that way. But here's the one thing that I did forget to mention. Those of you that have different personas, I guess, is the best way to put it. Like for us, let's just say that Everett and I wanted to also have a Meerkat or Periscope for the Expert News Network.
Yeah.
Just remember that you have to log out of your Twitter app on your phone. Mm-hmm. And open it up in the other persona. So you'd open up an Expert News Network and then go to Periscope, and then you'd want to make sure and create an account using that Expert News Network, that one. And you can do that. You can switch back and forth because I have one for the Healthy Dog Network that I just created. So I can either be speaking as the Healthy Dog Network, Twitter handle, or Flaco K9 Academy. It's just make sure your Twitter app has been switched over from one or the other, else it'll always show you as whatever your Twitter app is on.
Yep. Yeah, and if you weren't aware of that, on your Twitter app, certainly on iPhone and I'm pretty sure on Android, you can have multiple accounts on that app. And same thing, I believe it works that way when you log in, or actually whatever you're logged into, like you said, once you get there, you log into Periscope or Meerkat, that's what's going to pop up. Because I had to log my wife, because my wife had her phone on the boat. I had left mine ashore, and so that was when I had to log out all of her stuff to get logged into mine to make it all work. But you can make it work with pretty low bandwidth, by the way, too. We were out in the middle of the lake, out in the middle of nowhere, Alabama, and it was working pretty well. I was very impressed, actually.
I was looking for John to be in his in a Speedo or something like that, but
not gonna happen.
All right, so.
All right, what other kind of questions we got?
Steve Larvik, Nikki. Okay, he's answering a question for us. Thank you for doing that, Steve. Rich Moore, thank you for giving me credit. I appreciate that. You were reading each other's minds. NF. Who's NF? Can you type in your whole name, or do you want to stay incognito? Or is that Nikki Fialdi?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for the head shake. Yes. Dave, yes, the two different handles for Andy was confusing. Yeah, sorry about that, Dave. It was hard to find you on Meerkat at first. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just going to go Periscope with the dog stuff. It just seems like the audience is so much bigger. When I go on Meerkat, I got 9, and then by the time I'm done, I think there's an additional like 25. But on Periscope, it's just, when I get 300, I think, and get a lot of new people, I think that's the way to go. And switching back and forth, you may lose. For me, I may lose the audience because I'm going back and forth, and it's hard to give the very same message every time I'm switching from one to the other. Everett said Melody had very nice eyes. If you're a woman and you're on Periscope or Meerkat, you better be prepared for the how do you want to call those
trolls?
Guys? Trolls.
Yeah.
That are going to ask you to do certain things. They are on there. It hasn't mattered if I was listening to that comedian the other day. She was announcing something she was doing, and every fifth or sixth one was asking her to stand up or turn around or to show something. So you got to make sure and click those people off right away. But that's one of the problems. I have that problem too. They're always wanting me to stand up and show stuff.
Yeah, it was funny actually. On Saturday, we're out there on the boat, and I couldn't really see all the stuff that was going. You know, I didn't have my glasses; it was going really fast. And all of a sudden, I noticed one of them said, "Kill the kids." I'm like, "Oh, nice." Yeah, delete. Yeah. You know, you're out of there. Okay, you're gonna get jack wagons out there. It's just, you know, it's the Wild West in certain cases, and that's the nice thing is you can just delete them and they're gone. So don't worry about it.
Jack wagons? What's a jack wagon?
I don't know. It's a word I made up. It's my brother's a cop up in Connecticut. Ask him. He'll tell you.
I'm gonna get that jack. What'd you say?
Somebody looked that up on one of the there's some website out there they're supposed to. It's what all the kids are saying. Probably not. It's probably something from my past, but
it's what grandpas are saying.
Yeah, it's what grandpas are saying. Nice, thank you.
Jackwagon.com.
Everyone wants to see a topless shot of Andy. So see, there you go. No matter where you go, you're gonna get it. You're gonna have to deal with it.
I always got to get those guys and block them. You can block anybody that you don't like what they're saying.
Yeah, I think
what I was doing this morning, I was talking about my interviewee, and somebody wrote on there that she's a bitch, and so I'm pretty sure that guy's not going to be somebody I want on that particular audience. I couldn't get to it fast enough to take him off of my list, but I'm not sure how he feels that way or how he knows, but
yeah.
Because a former employee or something like that.
Melody says she wants to see a dog. Now that's funny because I definitely notice whenever I've been watching Andy, like my wife Jennifer doesn't know anything about Meerkat and all this stuff, so I'm explaining all this to her. We got her signed up. There you go. Cinnamon buns. I like it. Nice. So I explained this to her. She gets on there. She logs in, and she's like, "Oh, look at the dog!" And boom, she's on Periscope. So on Periscope, every time you touch the screen, it makes a heart, and you can do it. Now they said you could do it up to 500 times. I think she did it like 1,000 times. She was whacking the snot out of that phone, and she just kept, hitting that phone screen like this, and it was putting all these hearts out over and over and over again. So the cool thing about Periscope is the more hearts you see, if you've got a lot of people and you're seeing a heavy stream of hearts, they're loving what you're giving them for content right then. And I definitely noticed as soon as Andy brings the dog out, bam, you've got hearts, lots of hearts. And then when the dog leaves the screen and it's just Andy, same thing with me. I'm like, hey, so I was out shamelessly in the backyard with the kids the other day. I'm like, hey, there's my kids diving in the pool. Hey, look, there's my dog. Give my dog some hearts, just to see if anyone. And sure enough, I started getting some hearts from people just because the dog was out there. So.
Hey, JT, are you back on? I think you said
we have the definition of jackwagon in the Urban Dictionary. That's what I was trying to remember. Thank you, Dave Pittman. You are the man. I think that's Dave Pittman. Oh, that's hilarious. We'll have to look that up. All right.
I don't know if JT's on there, but he seemed to be fairly knowledgeable in this area too, so I don't know if he wanted to
Better
come on.
Fonts app for free. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely look that up and check it out. That's a good tip.
Does JT want to come on and talk? Does he have any info? I don't know who JT is.
That's JT Ippolito, I believe.
Okay.
He's like world famous. He knows Tiger and all those guys.
How do you know all those initials? See, I don't know anybody's initials.
Yeah.
Good.
What else you got, guys?
Anything else, John, about something that really stands out between the two apps? I just, since more of the discussion was which one was going to be better for each person.
Yeah.
I think we covered just about everything. As far as
for me right now, I haven't picked a winner yet. I tend to be getting more on Meerkat, so I'm going to keep running with both of them until I have a clear winner, or I'll just keep doing them both. I mean, because it just takes me an extra 30 seconds to type in, the title for each one on both phones, and then I hit go at the same time, and off we go. And I explain to people what I'm doing. People seem to be, at the moment, more interested in that than they are about the book stuff. But I did get some book questions over the weekend as I was broadcasting independently.
It would be fun to maybe schedule on Monday nights. You're going to talk about book creation, a different aspect of book creation. For
there's a woman. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say a 5-day program, or once a week for 5 weeks, or something like that. That may be helpful.
Yeah, there's a woman in Montreal who's a marketing maven of some kind. She's a branding genius. She's worked in Fortune 500 companies, and now she's out on her own. And she broadcasts several times a day, I think from her apartment or her office or whatever. But I mean, she's on. She'll stay on for like an hour or more, and then come back in and do an hour again later. I'm like, wow, I'm impressed that you have that much time to be able to do this. But I mean, she's getting anywhere from 50 to several hundred people watching her. And commenting, and like you said, you know, she's a cute girl. She's probably 30, 29, 30 years old or something like that. Cute young woman, I guess I should say. But you know, she doesn't put any makeup on. She just kind of pulls her hair back and she does her thing and talks. And every once in a while, she gets a troll and she's like, "Yeah, whatever, dude. We're here talking about business. Go away. I don't have time for you." And she just totally just pulls them off. She doesn't get upset about it or anything, and she's totally casual. And she's built a pretty good sized following, just you know, talking about marketing stuff and everything.
Now, one thing about Cordonis is his name again? I'm so sorry.
Cardone. Yeah, that's all right.
Cardone. He's on like 4 or 5 times a day. Do you think that that's necessary to get a good following? I mean, that really, being number 2, maybe it is.
Yeah, he already has the following, I think, so he wouldn't, you know, I mean, he basically just put it out to his email list and said, boom, I'm on this new thing, Meerkat, come check me out. He jumped in right at the beginning, and that's how he built up to be that big. It certainly doesn't hurt that he's on several times a day. I mean, he's got a full-time staff and a huge office that are helping run his sales team and everything else, so to him, he believes that this is, you know, part of the future of where all this is going. This is his own private network. So he does live casting on Fridays at noon every week, and he does in conjunction with Meerkat and Periscope, or Meerkat and Periscope. And so he really believes very heavily in that. Chris Ducker is another one who believes. If you haven't heard of Chris Ducker, he wrote Virtual Freedom. He's the Philippine outsourcing guy. He's a Brit who owns a company that has hired out thousands of Filipino VAs. And he lives in the Philippines, knows the industry very well, and he's done very well for himself. And so he firmly believes he is all about these platforms, and he just had one about, you know, why you need to be on Periscope and Meerkat, why you need to be broadcasting this stuff, and why you need to build your, you know, basically your network and your platform using these.
Nice. JT put an example of the text.
Oh yeah, I've seen that actually. Now that you mention it, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's a good grabber. Real quick, I'm going to show you my setup that I have. This is, I got this at Sammy's Cameras, and this holds the iPhone, and you can put it on any tripod. This is the suction cup one that goes on my windshield of my car that you guys are so happy that I do. Especially Pam Hendricks loves it when I do videos from my car, and it just screws onto any tripod just on the screw there. And I can stick this on my table. I can stick it on the windshield. But that's one of the things I use. I got about 3 different monopods and tripods that I use, but it's fairly easy. So one thing I want to make sure and say before we sign off is that this is a very easy app to use. There's just simply you got to type in a title and push a button and you're on live. It's not hard at all. Yeah. Anybody can do it. And unfortunately, we're seeing that anybody can do it because, like I said, I saw somebody the other day painting their toenails. I didn't watch very long. It just I thought it was interesting that it was watch me paint my toenails and.
Oh, that's frightening. I'll bet you got a lot of watchers too.
I think she had 800. That's
frightening.
She had 800.
800 people watching. Oh my God! Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure. I should have wrote that one down, but I just clicked around.
So she needs to start figuring out when they figure out how to do the advertising platform. She'll get with adultfriendfinder.com or somebody like that, and they'll be all okay, whatever.
Footfetish.com.
Yeah, there you
go.
All
right, guys. I hope you find that handout helpful. It's just a bunch of information that I've just kind of compiled about all the different things that are in regard to video on the internet and which platform to use and that kind of stuff. I'm going to be at Super Zoo starting tomorrow. And it's going to be a challenge for me because you know at any conference that you do or any trade show that the internet is being used by everybody in addition to the phone signal. So I'm going to do my very best to do some periscopes while I'm out there and maybe even some meerkats just for fun. And it'll be interesting to see how it works out on a trade show floor with all those people there.
We're definitely going to be doing it from Podcast Movement here in a couple of weeks, and I'm actually curious, does anyone have an iRig HD? If you do, what I'm curious to find out is, can I get a Y connector? Actually, that's true. It doesn't plug in. It plugs into the Lightning connector, so I can only really use that on one of the apps at a time then, I guess. There's no way to split a Lightning signal into 2, I don't think. now that I think of it. So in any case, it's really more for show and having the branding on it, of having the mic. Grant and all those guys, none of those guys are really doing that kind of thing. I just thought it'd be cool to experiment with it and try it. And this fall or late September, we're going to be down in Orlando at the Medical Tourism Conference again for the 3rd year. I'm not actually speaking this year, but the group that I'm working with is going to be there in a booth. So we're going to be doing interviews, both podcast interviews and Meerkat and Periscope interviews. So I'll probably have my little kind of like podcasting rig set up, and then I'll set up my Meerkat and Periscope next to it, and then so people can watch me live doing the interviews while we're kind of putting them together for iTunes and stuff like that. I just figured that'd be another way to put some content out.
Yep. And if you want to go high tech, one last little bit of tech I have is I use this iRig Pre to plug in the 3-prong for my wireless mic for my Sennheiser. The Sennheiser wire plugs into the transmitter, or to the receiver. I'm sorry, to the receiver. This plugs into the bottom of my my iPhone, and I use my wireless mic, handheld or my lavalier, and it transmits to my wireless right into my phone. So it's called an iRig Pre.
Interesting.
And, I've been using it. So at 4 o'clock during the one that I have for the interview, this in just an hour, about hour and 10 minutes, I'll be using the wireless mic. And that connects, and that's what allows me to get so far away from my phone and still have sound.
Yeah. Hey, is that a full-size XLR or is it a mini XLR?
No, full size.
Full size. Okay, cool.
Ooh, there we go. See it?
I have no scale. I guess you can put it up next to your nose or your cool facial hair there or something like that.
I keep talking. I might have something.
Okay, let me see if we got any other questions here. Let's see. Have to get a non-HD iRig mic to do that. I have another one in the competitor. Okay, don't know about iOS. All right, so I'm reading Everett's answer about that. You are speaking alien, so please speak. Translate when appropriate. Okay, so Nikki, what I'm talking about is when you plug in an iPhone, when you go to plug in a current iPhone or iPad, the little connector that it plugs into is called a lightning connector. That's this tiny little connector right here. That is a lightning connector. So the iRig comes in a variety of flavors, and one of them is it'll plug in like this into your iPhone, and then you've got an actual microphone that you can broadcast from with nothing else required. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You can just go right. I mean, I've been fairly decently far away from the phone, and people still can hear me, but when you're far away like Andy's doing, I think that's a really good idea to have some kind of either wireless lav or something hooked up to you, a lavalier microphone, just a little clip microphone, so that people can hear you. For right now, I haven't had any complaints about the sound quality. People aren't really looking for production quality. I think it provides more authenticity to just be like casual. I can say that the guys from Mashable, the tech blog, were at San Diego Comic-Con a couple of weeks ago. And I got this idea from them. They had 2 employees or 2 writers walking around. One had Meerkat, one had Periscope. On their phones, they had no mics or anything. They were just wandering around and said, hey, tell us what you want to see. And they were getting tons of people engaging. Oh, I want to see the Star Wars booth. I want to see the Minecraft booth. I want to go see Tony Stark or whatever. And they were bopping around all over the place and doing interviews with people. And they're just holding it in their hand, and it's all shaky camera and everything else. So people aren't really expecting that much in the way of production value. You don't have to do any of that stuff. That's what's beautiful about it is you can be on this. I mean, I could be broadcasting in under 60 seconds right now. So I'm going to watch Andy's when he goes live here in a little bit, and then I didn't schedule one today. I'll probably do one after. And someone had asked the question before, how do we know you're going on? If you come on Meerkat and sign up, you can subscribe to anyone's feed, and it'll give you a push notification. You'll have to have that turned on in your iPhone or your Android phone to let you know that we're going live.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm thinking about turning that off now that I have it on because it runs down the battery of my iWatch.
Oh, he's got an iWatch.
Yeah, now it used to last all day. Now it's dying about halfway through my day because it taps me so often about people on Periscope, people on Meerkat. It's crazy. But it's amazing how fast you how you start your broadcast and how quickly people start just jumping on your broadcast. You will be amazed. That is just really crazy.
Yeah.
Shoot, there was one other thing. Oh, just about the wireless and wired. The reason I use wireless when I'm working with the dogs is because I don't need one more thing that gets tangled up in the dog's legs. It's bad enough the leash gets tangled up in the wire, and so it's a must for me in regard to dog training to try to go wireless, and that's why I had to come up with a little solution for that, and it works perfectly, this little gizmo. You can plug a wired mic directly into this. And the iRig that John was talking about is another perfect tool. And how awesome it is that I was on one of the domes over there in Yosemite interviewing people, and it was a windy day, and you wouldn't even known it was windy. The sound quality was fantastic.
Wow.
It's amazing the quality you get out of one of those iRigs.
Okay, so
a very low cost. And
here's a technical question for you then. So the iRig HD plugs directly into your iPhone, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, is that what's powering your XLR microphone then, or is there a separate battery pack for that, or does that thing have a battery pack in it?
The power is from the phone. It does
the phone
everything.
Powers an XLR. That's impressive. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
Yeah. Nothing extra. So yeah, so my phone's gone off with about 5 periscopes already on this thing as we've been sitting here. So that's why that's a little bit of a pain. But I wanted to just get different people's perspectives and what they were doing with it and that kind of stuff. Some of it's pretty boring, as people just getting groceries at the grocery store and a bunch of other stuff. But so I hope this has been worthwhile. We got quite a few people on there that were following us. We got Joe's going to be at Super Zoo, I think it says there, Zoo Fest. I think you mean Super Zoo. It's the same thing. So I'll be looking for you there, Joe. And anything else? Did we miss any questions, Mel?
Everett's saying. Okay, cool. And
the non-HD rig connects through headphones jack instead. Yep.
All right, excellent. Yeah, I was interested to see whether or not there'd be, I mean, it's just audio, so I wouldn't imagine there's any advantage to having the lightning connector on there specifically. The thing that you can't do then if you do that is if you're going to be broadcasting all day and doing interviews for a long time, you're going to kill your battery. The battery's never going to last that long. So when I hook these up, I actually have it set so that I can plug them both in and and take care of that without having to worry about having them run out of power.
All right. Everett, Mel, JT, Dave, anything? Rich?
Well, thanks, guys, very much. That was very, very, very useful for me. I think everybody else, too, from everything I could see on the chat. So thanks, guys.
My pleasure. I'm glad to be of help. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
All right.
Thanks, John.
See you guys. Thanks, Andy.